measure from your rail to about 5 centimeters off the floor. You can take it all the way down to the floor, but then you must be very careful with your measurements. If it's too long, it's going to drape on the floor. 5 centimeters looks fairly good, so keep that in mind when you measure. Decide how long you want your tabs to be. I'm going to make mine 15 centimeters. I then have to double that amount because you need double the tab length because it's going to wrap over the bar. Then you're going to need 1.5 centimeters to sew those tabs into the top of the curtain. So if you add that up, it's 16.5 times 2 is 33 centimeters long for the tabs, and we're going to make them about 14 centimeters wide. The curtaining fabric, the face fabric and lining, lay your face fabric to the fold and measure out your desired length, less the length of your tabs, plus 1.5 centimeters seam allowance, plus 8 centimeters hem allowance. Then lay your lining on top, measure the length exactly the same, and the only difference will be that you're going to take 5 centimeters off each side of your curtain so that when you sew them together, the lining will not show in the front. Sew your seams together down the long side, and then you will see that it folds back so that when you turn it to the right side, your lining is going to be hidden behind your face curtain. Now what we're going to do is sew our tabs to the top edge of our curtain inside the seam at the top edge of the curtain. Mark off one length for your tabs across your curtain fabric, across your face fabric. If you want them to be 14 centimeters, which is going to have a finished width of 7 centimeters, add 1.5 centimeters of seam allowance to either side if you're going to straight sew it, and 1 centimeter, 5 millimeters for an overlock seam allowance. Once you've stitched your tabs, turn them to the right side, and then we're going to press them flat. Once you've ironed your tab, mark off your sections. Mine are 33 centimeters long, as we discussed earlier. Mark them off with either tailor's chalk or a disappearing pen, and then cut your strip into sections. In order to work out how many tabs you need across the top of your curtain and where to place them, we're going to start off by marking the distance from the edge of the curtain where it turns against the lining, 7 centimeters from the edge inwards, and the same on the other side. Then you're going to get the halfway point between those 2 points, mark that off, and then mark equidistant for your tab in the middle of your curtain. Once again, get the distance between those 2 points and mark equidistant from the midpoint so that you have 7 centimeters, 3.5 on either side of your midway points. For this curtain, I then have 5 tabs, which is generally enough for a curtain that has no joints in the middle, say an average of a 1.5 centimeter wide fabric. Nick your markings through all layers with the scissors so that it's easy to see where to put your tabs. Once you've sewn your folded tabs into place, turn your curtain to the right side and then press it across the entire length and width of the curtain, and then do a top stitch at the top of the curtain to hold your tabs in place. Now the best bet is to hang that curtain up to test the length, and then once you see that everything is correct, you can turn up your hem and hem it. Measure your curtains from the floor up. We wanted it to be 5 centimeters off the floor before we hemmed our curtain. Mine is a little over that. It is 6 to adjust for your sewing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a 7 centimeter hem allowance instead of an 8 centimeter. And that is why it is very important to hang the curtain before you make those decisions. Also, only make one curtain. Check that you have everything correct before you cut the balance of your curtains. And the finished product is starting to look
very elegant, something like that.
Mark off double the distance of your hem in a couple of places across your curtain. This is the area to which you are going to actually fold your hem to, so that you've got a guiding line for stitching, and stitch your hem closed. And there you have the finished curtain hanging on the rail. It is a very good rule of thumb to keep a record of all your measurements, that when you make your curtains, so that when you make the balance of the curtains, you'll be able to have some sort of record to use as a reference. A very good method of judging how many curtains you are going to need is that double the distance of your rail is the minimum, whereas 4 times the distance or the length of your rail is the maximum. But that really depends on the type of fabric you're using, and it is a personal preference. Hang your curtain to judge how many you think you're going to need.